We have a bombshell report to discuss today as the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Gerry Dulac reports that the Pittsburgh Steelers and soon-to-be free agent quarterback Russell Wilson have mutual interest in joining forces in 2024. This is major quarterback news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for me, guys, I think this is actually real, and I think this is actually what's going to be happening. And I think before the start of free agency next Monday, I do believe that Russell Wilson will have a deal done with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we get into breaking down this rumor and all this different stuff and why I think it's real and why I think Russell Wilson is the best possible option for the Steelers at the quarterback position, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now, because if Russell Wilson signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point, whether that be before free agency, after free agency starts, we're going to be going live for you guys with breaking news coverage, breaking down the move, breaking down how it affects the offense, all that great stuff. And then, of course, we'll get your thoughts on the signing as well. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. I think this is actually going to happen, so make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing with Russell Wilson to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the report comes out from Gerry Dulac from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Today, the Steelers are interested in signing Russell Wilson and are tentatively planning to meet with the former Broncos QB before the start of free agency per sources. Wilson has interest in joining Steelers. Story in PG forthcoming. So listen, here's the thing when it comes to Gerry Dulac reporting this, all right? The reason why it's important that Dulac is the one to report this is because, all of his reporting before this was that the Steelers aren't interested in adding a veteran quarterback to start over Kenny Pickett. They're interested in bringing in Mason Rudolph to give him competition. But nothing like this, where the Steelers are interested in getting somebody to straight up replace Kenny Pickett as the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if he's willing to contradict his own reporting, you got to think, man, he's pretty darn sure that this thing is going to end up happening. So this feels real to me. This feels like the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be bringing in Russell Wilson for a visit. This feels like Russell Wilson, at 35 years old, wants to solidify the rest of his legacy for his playing career. He knows he probably has at most 4 or 5 years left as a starting quarterback in this league, and he wants to try to win Super Bowls in that time period to solidify his legacy. He sees the Steelers' defense and the Steelers' talent that they have on offense and Mike Tomlin as his head coach, and he sees everything that the Steelers have going for them, and I think he's going to be willing to come here for the vet minimum, which at his point in his career would be $1.21 million, which is just absolutely unbelievable. So let me know down there in the comments section and sound off. What is your one-word reaction to this report from Gerry Dulac? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's not real? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. And in just a second, I'm going to give you my one-word reaction to this report. But first, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Listen, fellas, I don't have to tell you that warmer weather leads to more sweat, and with that more sweat brings more stink. But don't worry, all you have to do to say goodbye to your stink is grab some Mando Whole Body Deodorant and nip body odor in the bud. Put it on your pits, your package, your feet, and beyond for whole body freshness. From the makers of Lumi Deodorant, Mando is clinically proven to work hard all day for you. Instead of just covering up BO with heavy fragrances, Mando stops odor at the source, stopping the stink from happening in the first place. Spring into the season with a deodorant that can handle the heat. For Steelers Talk listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. And let me tell you guys, it's not just deodorant that Mando brings to the table. It is awesome body wash as well that keeps you smelling fresh all day. This is their bourbon leather, and I've been using this over the last couple of weeks thanks to our partnership with Mando. And let me tell you, man, this stuff smells masculine, it smells fresh, and it really does last all day, guys. It really does. It's fantastic stuff. And Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. You can get the body wash, or you could get something like deodorant wipes if that's more your bag, and it also comes with free shipping. Again, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your order when you get the starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Trust me, your partner will thank you for this move as well, fellas. Thank you so much to Mando Whole Body Deodorant for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. So my one word to this report from Gerry Dulac is yes, this is what I have been waiting for with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have been advocating for the Steelers to go out and get Russell Wilson for literally weeks at this point. I have gone over it in detail on this show over the last several weeks why I want Russell Wilson. There's a bunch of benefits and there's practically zero risk to bringing him in the building. And I absolutely think this is the right move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, all right? Not only because Russell Wilson's a really good quarterback, but also because he is the most affordable option that's 4 times less expensive than what Mason Rudolph will reportedly be going for in free agency this year. You can get him for the vet minimum. And you look at the career resume right now for Russell Wilson. He is a Super Bowl champion, so he's been in that big game. If he gets to the playoffs with the Steelers, the big stage isn't going to be too big for him. He's won 2 NFC championships. He's been to 3 NFC championship games. Okay, 9-7 playoff record, a winning record in the playoffs. He is 10th all-time in game-winning drives and tied for 9th all-time in fourth quarter comebacks. So he's one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League. Then you look at the career numbers, the touchdown percentage, almost 6% of his passes throughout his career have been touchdowns. That is absolutely unbelievable. That's one of the highest in league history, okay? Then you get to the career interception percentage. He's never had a season over 13 interceptions, and he's only had over 11 interceptions one time in his career. And you look at that interception percentage, less than 2% of his passes get intercepted. And not only does he push the ball down the field, but he protects the football better than just about anybody in the history of the game. And that career quarterback rating of 100, that is an excellent, excellent number. And really, man, it wasn't really all that bad for Russell Wilson last year either. People want to say he's washed, he's cooked, he's a terrible quarterback. And I get that the narrative kind of says that about him because, the Broncos didn't make the playoffs in the 2 years he was there. He got benched at the end of it. He's getting cut by them now. But look at these numbers, man. When you compare it to Kirk Cousins, who's expected to make $35 to $40 million guaranteed in free agency this year, Russell Wilson was more accurate than him. He had a higher touchdown percentage. He had a way higher big-time throw percentage, and then with the interception percentage and quarterback rating right around the same ballpark, all right? But the difference is Russell Wilson will likely cost $1.2 million versus Kirk Cousins, who is going to be worth $35 to $40, and Russell Wilson brings a mobility aspect to the game that Kirk Cousins does not. But let's throw out the Kirk Cousins comparison here, and let's just compare Russell Wilson to what the Steelers have right now. And this is a clear upgrade here. You look at the accuracy numbers. Russell is way more accurate than Kenny Pickett. The yards per attempt, way more efficient. The touchdown percentage, still 5.8. Remember, Russell Wilson threw more touchdown passes last year than league MVP Lamar Jackson, all right? That doesn't sound like somebody that's washed to me, all right? And then you look at the quarterback rating, almost 20 points higher than Kenny Pickett's, and the points above replacement, almost 20 points more valuable than Kenny Pickett in 2023. So it's definitely something that I'm looking at right now with Russell Wilson, and he is a clear upgrade. And not only is he a clear upgrade at the starting quarterback position, if you're looking at the potential options to sign in free agency, right, because you only have Kenny Pickett on the roster right now. You have to sign a quarterback of some sort, and it really seems like the options right now are Mason Rudolph or Russell Wilson. And according to Gerry Dulac's reporting, the Steelers would have to pay Mason Rudolph $5 million per season, all right, as opposed to Russell Wilson, who is a better quarterback than Mason Rudolph, in my opinion. You can get him for 4 times less the money at the vet minimum at $1.2 million. So if you're the Steelers and you're in a position where you have to sign a quarterback and you have to add somebody to the room, why not go out and get a guy that just threw 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, was top 10 in quarterback rating, had a super high touchdown percentage, all these different things, and he's one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League. And really what I think this means for the Pittsburgh Steelers is if they sign Russell Wilson, especially at the vet minimum, if that ends up happening, he's going to get this team back to competing for Super Bowls, all right? I'm not going to guarantee that they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills or even the Cincinnati Bengals next year in the playoffs with Russell Wilson, but he gives you a fighting chance because you look at what's already in place with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a great head coach in Mike Tomlin who's never had a losing season no matter what's going wrong with the team. I still think Mike Tomlin has what it takes. All right, you got the great defense that's playing at a top 10, most of the time top 5 level every single year. You still got TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward, all these players, all this talent on defense. Then you also got 2 really good running backs in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. All right, so Russell Wilson isn't going to have to carry this offense if he comes to Pittsburgh. And then also when he does throw the football, he's got some nice receiving weapons, man. George Pickens, imagine George Pickens' deep ball receiving ability with Russell Wilson's deep ball throwing. That'd just be a match made in heaven to me, all right? And then you got the improving offensive line. You're probably going to draft another offensive lineman of some sorts this year. You're going to get a new center, a new offensive tackle. I love the fit here, and all the Steelers really need now, all right? All they really need to really complete the puzzle, in my opinion, and start competing for Super Bowls again is a quarterback that can push the ball down the field when he needs to, somebody that protects the football, and somebody that can deliver in the clutch and in the stage of the playoffs won't be too big for him. I think Russell Wilson checks all of these boxes, all right? We know his ability to target down the field and throw the deep ball. We know his ability to protect the football and not throw interceptions. And we also know his ability to perform in the clutch, top 10 all-time in game-winning drives and fourth-quarter comebacks, and he's been to the playoffs a number of times. So when and if Russell Wilson gets the Steelers to the playoffs, the moment's not going to be too big for him. He can go up against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, and he doesn't have to be better than those guys. He just has to deliver in the fourth quarter in those big games, and I think Russell Wilson at 35 years old can still do that. And then another benefit of signing Russell Wilson is that you don't have to move on from Kenny Pickett. You can still have Kenny Pickett on the roster, and you can even keep the door open for Pickett to be the long-term starter for this team moving forward. Because listen, I don't think Russell Wilson would be bad with the Steelers. I don't think he would stink. But if he does, and the Steelers are not in playoff contention at any point during the season, the Steelers can just go back to Pickett and they have nothing to lose, right? If you go with Pickett as your starter going into the season, you have everything to lose. Cam Hayward's in his last year of his career, most likely. You are relying on Kenny Pickett to make a massive year 3 leap if the Steelers are even going to compete for a Super Bowl. But in this scenario, you have Russell Wilson as your number 1 option. If it works out, great. You're competing for Super Bowls again with one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the history of the game. But if it doesn't work out, you still have Kenny Pickett, a young quarterback that you still believe in, to back him up and give him a tryout for the rest of the season. And if you're already out of playoff contention, there's really no reason not to roll with Kenny Pickett and see what he has to see if he can be your franchise quarterback moving forward. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. I think it's a win for the Steelers. I think it's a win for Russell. I think it's a win for even Kenny Pickett because it leaves the door open of him potentially sticking with the Steelers and being the franchise quarterback here long term. I think this is the perfect move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've said it time and time again here on the show, guys, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I've convinced you here. Should the Pittsburgh Steelers sign Russell Wilson this offseason? Yes or no? And if it's a no, I'm genuinely curious. What's the reasoning behind the no? Is it the production? Because the production's like pretty much close to Kirk Cousins. Is it that he's too old? Kirk Cousins is the same age, right? I'm really wondering what the downside is here because you're paying him nothing. He had more touchdown passes than the MVP of the league last year. He's still playing at a relatively high level. People respect him. I think that this is something that I would absolutely do if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think this is a no-brainer for GM Omar Khan and head coach Mike Tomlin as we approach free agency. And honestly, guys, I think this deal is going to get done by the end of the weekend. All right, that'll be it for today's breaking news action, guys. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button because if the Steelers sign Russell Wilson this weekend, and I think they probably will, we are going to be going live right here on the channel. You're not going to want to miss it. That's going to be a legendary live stream. So make sure you click that subscribe button. Join our family and never miss a move throughout the 2024 offseason.